In front of me, I have an MSO1 with an RTX A4000 custom cooling from Nerdware. And today we're going to get into replacing that custom cooler with another custom cooler that Nerdware has just released. As many of you know, that if you're following around this channel or other channels, that putting an A4000 SFF in this MSO3 makes it a pretty crazy machine, but the problem is that the thermals are really, really horrible. I believe even Jeff from Craft Computing did his own benchmarking, and the fan in this custom cooler from Nerdware wasn't enough to push the air, or didn't have enough push to push the air and the heat off the heatsink. So Nerdware actually came out with a new custom shroud, and it is literally just the shroud with a new fan, which they claim that this fan is more powerful and it will cool off in their tests about 7 degrees Celsius. At least that's what they have in their website. So in this video, we're going to replace this shroud. We're going to put this one in with the new fan. We're going to do some baseline thermals and benchmarks with this one in here without making any adjustments, and then we're going to do another ones with this one, and I'm also going to show you how I went ahead and replaced it. So let's get into it. Okay, so we're going to switch over here to the computer. Now remember, these are thermals that are with the Nerdware already custom cooler, but not with the extra fan that we've purchased. So let's get into what we're seeing here on the screen. All right, so the computer's been up for about 30 minutes, just kind of idling. As you can see here, we have 0% CPU, and it's hovering around 49 degrees Celsius, which is not too bad. And just to kind of give you a frame of reference, I have a 3090 Ti running in my big rig, and right now it's also at 49 degrees Celsius. So it's just kind of sitting there, not doing too much. Now, just to kind of go through, the temperature in the room is actually the bottom temperature over here. It's 69 degrees in the room with 41% humidity. The top one's the actual outside temperature. So it's relatively cool in here. We have got the air conditioner on, so it just kind of gives you an idea of the environment. And the computer is right here on top of my desk, which has perfect airflow, nice wooden desk, nothing really kind of obstructing it. So just to kind of give you a frame of the environment around it. All right, so let's take a look at here at hardware info. So we see the fan about 3000 RPM. Let me also bring up this window so you guys could see. So we're using GPU twerk. What we're going to do is we're going to put the GPU fan at 100% while testing it. And this is just to get the baseline, right? So after we replace the shroud with the new fan, then we're going to rerun this test. All right, so the GPU fan's at 3000, power is about 8.5 watts. GPU clock is about 200 megahertz. And that's really, I'm just going to focus on those three numbers because we're going to figure out when these start to throttle because of heat. All right, so we're going to turn this sucker up all the way to 100. I don't think hardware info, yeah, like it goes dark for whatever reason. It doesn't show the full potential of the fan. I don't think there's another place to see it though too. Let's take a quick peek here. No, I could have sworn there was another place to see it. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to start off with let's start off with a benchmark just to kind of see what we get with a cool temperature. I don't think there's going to be improvement in the benchmark scores, but this is just kind of getting a benchmark score as it is now. and there we have it. 4500 for with Time Spy. All right, so let's launch Heaven. So we're gonna do run. Okay, so for this test, we're actually looking to see when it will start thermal throttling. Um, so we're gonna see the wattage go down after a little bit, after the heat starts to rise. Right now we're sitting at 63C. So we're going to give it about 20-30 minutes. We're going to see the temperature go up. We're going to see uh, the clock gigahertz go down. And then we're also going to see the wattage go down. So when we start seeing those numbers go down, we're going to understand that that's when thermal throttling is taking place because the card is running way too hot. So we're going to let it run. Uh, let's check on it at, let's run it for 30 minutes. So let's check on it at 11:20 and see what's going on. So we're just gonna leave it like this, and we'll check back. All right. Okay. So we're finally seeing some thermal throttling happening at around 90 C temperature. You could see that it is coming down from almost 70 watts to about 63 watts now, or 64 watts. And then you could see the clock speed is now at like 1200 instead of 1500 to 2000. Um, so I'm going to assume that the hotter this gets is that you're going to start seeing these numbers dwindle even more. So we'll let it continue going for another 10 minutes or so, maybe even 15. Rerun the benchmark just to kind of, or we could just leave it like this. Just keep it stressing the GPU to like 90% and see how it goes. So yeah, we're just gonna let it ride for another 10 to 20 minutes and stress it for about 40 minutes and see how it goes. All right. All right. So here we are. We're almost 8 minutes to 30 minutes. So we're at what, 22 minutes in, and we're already seeing, right? So if we take a look at the numbers on the screen, we're at 92 or 91, 92 Celsius. We're pulling in 63 watts around 63, 64. And now the GPU, the clock is about 1200 uh, megahertz. And just to kind of give a frame of reference, the maximum output was 70 watts. And the maximum GPU clock speed that we got was 2.3 megahertz. Now, I don't think we've ever expected to stay at 2.3 megahertz. I think the sweet spot is anywhere from like, anywhere like 1500 and above if it stays relatively cool. So, this did what it did, and it is showing right now the card is thermal throttling right now. It's not performing to the best as it can because it's just a heat issue. So we're gonna just let it go and for the 20 minutes, or actually for another 7 minutes, just to be thorough, to complete it on the 30. And then we're going to turn this off, and we're going to replace it and see if we get any better numbers. So yeah. Okay, so we're at the 20-minute mark. I'm sorry, 30-minute mark. And everything seems status quo. Nothing has really changed. I think this is where the sweet spot is, where you just kind of you reach the peak of 90 degrees, 91 degrees, and it throttles to about 1200 megahertz or so. And I've seen it go down at least to 58 watts. And again, just to kind of give you an idea, the temperature in the room is 69 degrees. It's the bottom temperature with 40% humidity. So it's relatively cool in this room. All right. So we're going to shut this down, and then we're going to pop out the card. We're going to got to set up the other camera to do a top down so we can remove the shroud, put the new one in. I wanted to point out that also here you could actually see that the RPM speed on the GPU is 6351, which is awesome. So we're going to check out to see if that's the same RPM speed on the new fan that Nerdware gave us. All right, so we're going to shut this down. I'm going to put the overhead camera on, and we're going to go through removing it, and then we're going to restart this all up and take a look. All right, so I'm going to give it a little while for the fan to cool off, probably about an hour or two. So if you see the discrepancy in time, that's what I'm doing. So we're just going to shut all of this down for about an hour, let it cool down, and then we're going to do all this. All right, stay tuned. Okay, so let's get into this with a top-down camera. It's been a while. Take this off and let's get into this. Forgive me if this moves, but yeah. All right. Put that to the side. From Nerdware. All right. We'll take care of that. So here we go. So this is the new, I guess you want to call it, shroud with a fan. Um, that is supposed to replace this fan, and it has more airflow on this. So we're going to remove this and replace it with this one. Now I'm hoping I could just remove this off the side here. So let's see if we can find the right tool for this. Now I am using iFixit tool, the iFixit kit. I could zoom in a little bit more for you guys here. Let's see if it's just as simple as removing these 4 screws. Give me a second. Let me adjust this for a second. I'm going to switch it over to manual focus so this way you guys can see everything without having to worry. So there's really no instructions in the box. I don't think there's really too many instructions needed. There's really like 4 screws and yeah. So this comes off. Okay. All right. So what are we looking at here? So it looks like this fan's attached to this. We might need actually adjust it. So I'm going to pull this from here, but we might have to take this whole thing off to get it back in. I'm hoping that once I take this part off, it'll give me more access to the part that needs this to be plugged in. So let's hope that's the case. All right, let's put that down, refocus. And if you watch Jeff's video, forget his name, Craft Computing, you'll see that he also, when he does this test, he basically says that this fan isn't powerful enough to push the heat that's on here over, and it kind of just sits there and overheats. So I think Nerdware listened to that and was kind of like, okay, we could change that. Now here's the thing. So let's take a look here at what we're looking at here. Oh, well, that just falls out. Okay. So it's looking that it just goes on. I don't even think it needs these mounts. Let me refocus. Yeah, look at this. I'm not seeing anything else besides that. Okay. All right. So let me plug in the fan. Let's push this to the side a little bit. Make sure we got it. All right. Awesome. And now make sure that wire's not. That should be it. I mean, listen, if anything, Nerdware made it incredibly easy to replace this. I mean, if that's all that it really takes, that's pretty awesome. They're not screwed in yet, so I just want to thread them a little bit. Yeah, that was it. Easy peasy. We got the new fan on it. This is the old one. Not sure if it says anything on there. This is the old one. All right. So let's get this back mounted in there. We obviously have some extra screws and a shroud now. It's always a disaster me putting this back in here. Never get this straight. Ah. The case. And boom, there we go. All right, let's switch out the cameras. Let's do some benchmarking on this and see if the temperatures are any better. It's going to pick up where we left off. So this fan speed's 100%. Let's just take a look here at what we're dealing with here. All right. So currently we are at 34%. PC's only been on for about 3 minutes. Let's kind of dial this back for a little bit. All right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to let the PC sit for about half hour, just idling. I think last time we did this before the testing, we just let it sit for 30 minutes, just kind of let it come up to temperature by itself without any type of strain on it, and then we'll start the actual benchmarking. So it is 2:35. I will see you at 3 o'clock. Okay, so we're back. We're switching over to this camera. It has been 30 minutes. As we have it on here on the screen. 32 minutes to be exact. And the GPU is sitting at 50% Celsius, or 50 degrees Celsius. Now, it is still 69 degrees in here, 69, 68 degrees in here. 42, I'm looking at the temperature of the background, but it's still the same temperature. So right now, the only thing I'm kind of seeing is about a 3 degrees Celsius difference of just kind of hovering, if it's just kind of sitting idle. So let's stress it out. We're going to do the same thing. Let's do the benchmark first. We're going to keep
this feature is not available.
We're going to keep the fan as is. We're going to just do the 3D benchmark and see if our score is any different. And again, I don't expect the score to be any different because this is really just an increase in fan. On their website, they did advertise, I believe, 10 to 11 degrees Celsius, if I'm not mistaken. I'll have to double check on that. That it's supposed to run cooler. So it's just a cooling. So we're going to run the same times 5 4K. So here we have it. We actually have less of a score. I think first time around we had 20 or yeah, last time we ran this we got 4507. So I'm not sure what actually happened and why we're getting this. The graphics score is extremely low. I think last time we got 4612 and now it's 1593. So I'm not sure if I had the fan at 100% and that's why it was doing this. So let's rerun this one more time, but we're gonna put the fan at 100%. Yeah, so the last score we had, the very first score before the modification was, I'll put it up here on the screen. It was a 4507, graphics score was 4612, and the CPU score was 3998, which all coincides except for the graphics score. The graphics score is almost half, if not more, at this point. So I don't know what happened here. All right. Okay. All right. That's a little better. Um, it's, I guess, most likely because of the fan running on high. So that's a huge difference actually. So when you put the fan on 100%, you almost get double the score on it because it's controlling the temperature. Now the first one that we ran was 4507. This one is 4434, a little under, but still up there. All right. So let's go over to let's come up here to the stats. Let's open up hardware info. We're going to break open Heaven. So let's get this set up over here on the side for us. Let's see what we're dealing with here. All right, so let's just take a look here. We're running at 56 degrees Celsius. All right, so let's we're gonna run Heaven now. So we're gonna run Heaven now for the next 30 minutes or so. Um, and we're gonna see if we notice a difference in temperatures and throttling. Um, see what this looks like after 30 minutes. So right now it is 324 or 325. I'm sorry. We're going to take a look. We're looking for the GPU power. We're looking for the clock speed, and we're looking for the temperature. So as the temperature goes up, I think last time we were sitting at about 91 to 92 degrees in that area. Uh, we got down voltage wise, we got down to 58 to about 62-ish 3. And the um, the core, this GPU core, was sitting anywhere from 1,000 to 1,200 megahertz. So those are the times to beat to see if the new fan actually makes a difference in the next 30 minutes. See if it helps us with thermal throttling. So yeah, let it run and we'll check back in 30 minutes. Thanks, guys. All right, so we are back. It's been a little longer than a half hour. It's been for about 45 minutes. So let's just take a look at the stats here. So we are at 90 degrees Celsius. The fan is running at 65. Let's take a look over here. So where GPU clock scores are about in the 1200. Uh, we are at 63, 64 watts of power, which is consistent with what we had, and about 90 degrees, 99 degrees Celsius, which is consistent with before we have. So, so far, I hate to say this, but we haven't seen that much of a difference. Um, haven't seen that much of a difference with the newer fan. While I was waiting for the, while I was waiting the 30, 45 minutes, I was looking up on NerdWare's website. It did say that their benchmarks saw a 7 Celsius differential in temperature. So again, I'm not sure how they did those tests. We haven't seen much of a difference. So it is unfortunately still running that hot. I'm going to continue doing some more tests. See, obviously I have the new fan installed. I'm not going to go switch back to the old fan. And I'm going to continue using the MSO1, and I'll report back on anything different than I see. But as of right now, unfortunately, it does not seem like the $20 edition fan made a difference in this case, which is unfortunate because I was really hoping that would be the case. Anyway, guys, I really thank you guys for watching. Like, subscribe, comment for more of these types of videos. Take care, guys.